one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
Welcome in to Discover Crypto on the 2 p.m. show. We are in 2026 and the markets are pumping as one of Bitcoin's longest standing enemies has come out to give his flowers to the apex predator of the monetary system in some very dashing words, and Ethereum setting up for a nasty reversal. But can we continue the pump? We're going to take a look at all of this and more on today's show, joined by my compadre, Mr. Kelly Killam. How the hell are you doing? Feeling refreshed after that break?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. This entire year so far, we can finally say this entire year, we've been seeing nothing but, let's take a look at it. Why is this not playing? This is supposed to play. It's supposed to be freaking cool. Fuck you, TradingView. Essentially what that was going to show was a replay of the price action just zipping to the upside.
Oh,
We've been up since 2026. We got some incredible world-shaking news, the reordering that you and I have been talking about for a while. The clip we showed last week or 2 weeks ago with Scott Percent talking about the new Brent Woods. We've got the charts heating up. We're not quite there yet. There's some key levels we're going to be showing you all today that we have to break above and hold, but it's feeling pretty good. I'm feeling more bullish than I was 2 weeks ago on 2026, and I was very bullish on 2026 2 weeks ago. So I think we're in for some rocket slippage coming up here in a few minutes.
that was kind of the vibe I got watching the news roll out. And, you know, obviously we covered on the morning show and on the blockchain basement, but Maduro taken from his Venezuelan villa, and Venezuelans are out there celebrating as a communist dictator. Maduro has been captured by U.S. forces. And as this happened, I watched Bitcoin pump with the pump. And now we're at $94,285. It's feeling damn good. Honestly, the takeaway from this weekend's crazy news and the price action to mirror it is sellers are pretty damn exhausted by now. So I'm looking forward to the next year of price action. We are currently at $94,300. And I was looking at this chart, on the morning show, the blockchain basement. Really, the main point of turbulence that I think we're attracted to right now is about 96.6. Dare I say we're attracted to the old point of control for this range right here. I think the point of control out of the range from December of 24 to February of 25 is acting as a magnet for price. Now, if you are in a, let's say, a long from $100,000 and you see a chance to de-risk, we get a pump up to this level, might be time to think about de-risking, right? If you're overexposed right now, what I've been looking at, Kelly, and this is insane. I've been highlighting this box over and over. Remember this box we were bouncing off of over and over again last week? It held up like a rock, and we pumped very aggressively after that buy interest point to about right around 94.1. That's 7.8%. The point of control to the lower side right now is sitting about $83,700. So this is kind of the range I'm feeling like we're stuck in right now, Kelly. Maybe I'm, not horribly optimistic, right? Because I'm just being kind of cautiously optimistic right now. We have to break and look for confirmations. And Kelly, this is where you really, really shine in my mind when it comes to charts, is what a confirmation of this pump would actually look like. All right. I have my own ideas, but I am very, very curious because we are moving pretty aggressively right now up to that point of control. Where do you see kind of the time frame where, like, all right, Bitcoin's bull time is back on, meat's back on the menu? What's your levels you're looking at?
Well, first off, I appreciate that. It's good to see everybody back here after what was it? Felt like a 2, 3, 4 week holiday. We're now into 2026, and interestingly, I just want everybody to notice we have broken out of this, as you mentioned, and to your point, kind of near that point of control up here, $96,000. The price action right now is this dotted white line, and look at where this is right now. right in the thick of it, right where all of this support was, a lot of support, rejection, support, rejection. We are right at the level that is very, very critical for what's going on. But in terms of the levels I'm watching, I will say this, there's something that is super bizarre that's going on right now. Even though price action went from $15,500 to over $126,000, we've never had the price action based on on-chain metrics, based on the strength of long-term holders, how you can perceive confidence by what's happening with different players in the market. Even with all this price action, we've never entered this bull zone, which is where you get this large expansion in all cycles leading up to now. We've never even broken out of this. And this zone, if you look over here to the left, this is the low risk to buy zone. There's more of a reward versus a risk you're taking on, which kind of stands to reason when you consider everything we've been talking about of Bitcoin just really hitting the world's global financial floor right now, where everybody is aware of what's going on and trying to figure out how to position. We have retail getting very, very scared. But one of the things I wanted to highlight here is coming into the position we're seeing right now with this little pump, and I can zoom in on this just to touch this little pump that we've gotten. What we're seeing here is Binance and Coinbase selling pressure coming back to zero, aka a lot of selling pressure coming back to basically no selling pressure, which is interesting to see because we've also got the hash ribbons that just flipped back bullish, basically giving a buy signal. We've also got this level that you were pointing out, $95,000, $96,000. We've really got to clear that. But on that note, there are signs on the macro that we are setting up the reversal, similar to what we've seen in these previous long sort of protracted, long sort of sideways or down consolidations into an accumulation launch, And the last thing I would worry about is this. This is a warning shot for everybody. As bullish as I am, and I know you're bullish as well, Drew, it doesn't mean I'm blindly bullish where I don't think there could be another dip. Because even right now at 94,000, oh my God, we're back. Is it? Because this would only follow a regular pattern. If we were to reject here, it doesn't mean everything's over, but this would also stand to reason. And I just saw this today from Marty Party. This would be that same thing I've been talking about for about a month, having some sort of move that comes down below this level, giving us that bullish divergence. If we get a dip, know that very well could be the setup. If we don't get the dip and we get the price action, as you pointed out, to clear that, look at this. It's almost the same level you have, 95.9. Holy moly, we did not coordinate this. If we can clear this level, find support, and start moving up in here, I think we've got a lot of work to do up here in this region, specifically because there's all of these key moving averages directly above us. So while this feels great, Drew, and it does nice to see you 5-6 days in a row, green daily candles on Bitcoin, it doesn't mean it's up only. I think we got to watch for some chop, watch for some bear traps here. But I know we're going to be diving into the Venezuela story, but case in point here, we've got a potential $17 trillion in assets that are coming into, I don't want to say into the hands of, but in some ways, the zeitgeist of what's happening within the U.S. economy because of what this means for the world oil.
They've been redistributed. Okay. Yeah. They've been redistributed, reallocated. They're entering a different trajectory now. And what we just saw, I'll just touch on it briefly. Venezuela in risk terms, anyone played the game Risk or just thinks about war theory in general, Venezuela is an important port. So Venezuela is a launch pad for many to-be naval operations that we're hopeful for China and Russia to partake in on the southern part of the United States. That port's been taken away. The source of their revenue, oil, rare earth minerals, and claims of nearly 600,000 Bitcoin might be falling into the hands of the Department of Justice. That is a pretty budget neutral way of accumulation of Bitcoin right there, Kelly. 600,000 Bitcoin. That gets us close to our goal. What do you think?
I mean, 600,000, if it's 100,000, if it's zero, the fact of the matter is $17 trillion worth of oil, for a regime, not the country, but Maduro and the regime that was basically absolutely decimating the population, stealing from them, leaving people starving, having people prostituting themselves even to find bread. I'm happy with what's going on in this regard. It'd be interesting to see how the U.S. Political sphere manages this over the next 3 months, 6 months, 6 years. I don't want to just have another situation like we've seen in the Middle East and other areas. Maybe this time we can get it right and actually hand it off, to a real elected official there that is working for the people, but also integrate many of the companies. It's not like the U.S. is taking the oil. Many of the companies that have been a part of the oil development in Venezuela since 1920. There's been a lot of things that have gone on and back and forth of ownership and the nationalization of the oil sector in Venezuela, but then completely stealing all that innovation and everything from the oil companies. Then what happened when that happened? I forget his name, Chavez or whatever. As soon as that happened, what have we seen in the last 25 years? They've only declined in their GDP. They've only declined in their profitability. They've only declined in their ability to compete on the world stage for their oil production. Why? If they have, 303 billion barrels of oil. Well, because private organizations and a socialist party cannot run something like a private institution can. So it's all about that synergy of private institutions working in alignment with governments so everybody can prosper. So I'm excited about that. And that's going to be a huge wealth story, I think, for the entire Western Hemisphere.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And what you mentioned before, the new Bretton Woods, right? A new Bretton Woods can only be done after World War III plays itself out. And it's playing itself out right now, in my opinion. And I know it's a touchy subject for people to want to discuss, but it's basically where we're at right now. I was shocked by this as well. Jamie Dimon came out and talked about crypto on Fox. Let's have a listen to what he had to say. This guy used to absolutely hate on crypto and Bitcoin and everything included in it. So listen to what he has to say.
Blockchain is real. It's been around for quite a while, but now it's becoming more effective, more efficient because people are finding ways to do it faster and cheaper, permissioned or not permissioned. Smart contracts, I think, will probably be real.
So he's acknowledging it's here to stay and it's real. This is the same guy. Yeah, crypto is a pet rock, was his previous words about it. And a lot of this here to stayness, in my opinion, stems from the stablecoin interest of the United States. We have BlackRock talking about stablecoins becoming a structural pillar of digital finance, with their combined market cap hitting record highs, steadily increasing their share for the overall crypto market despite price volatility elsewhere. Now we compare this, and why do I cover macro and crypto at the same time? Well, this exact same combination of things going on. You have stable coins, which are a version of the US dollar. These are backed in US T-bills, treasury debt, right? Stable coins are backed by US debt. And if we see the expansion of stable coins into China and Russia, this is essentially a monetary Trojan horse that makes its way into their environment. We've previously seen Venezuela selling their oil and receiving tether, swapping it into Bitcoin and building a strategic reserve when Bitcoin is around $5,000 a piece. That's leading us to this understanding of a $600,000 or 600,000 Bitcoin reserve. But this is why crypto and the macroeconomic crossroads that we're at right now, it matters to cover both of these things and to have context on both of these things. You have to ask yourself, why is Jamie Dimon now acknowledging that crypto is here to stay, right? Why is this guy who leads up? JP Morgan is a much bigger part of the U.S. financial system than I think people really understand. JP Morgan was a bank, still is a bank, obviously, but in 1895, America was going through basically an economic collapse. The people needed someone to blame, right? J.P. Morgan, the man, the person, no longer wanted to be the person getting tomatoes thrown at him in a figurative manner. So the idea of a central bank was spawned out of that general want of disconnection from the middle class, from the average person. That's why we have a central bank. J.P. Morgan had a big part in that playing. Now we ended up with an immense amount of debt, right? The debt is sitting at $38.5 trillion as things sit right now. National debt officially surged by $2 trillion last year. And really, We know this graph looks up and to the right. The real question is, how much are we going to add to the debt over the next 10 years? Kelly, what do you think the national debt is going to be at 10 years from now? In 2036, where could you see this national debt being?
Well, let's go ahead and go to my chart real quick. I'm going to break it down for everybody. This is very simple. Let's say this is 38 trillion right here. Okay. If things work in a parabola as they have been, and if this is 38 trillion, then it has already curved up into 38 trillion like this. So you say in 10 years, if I extrapolate, compute all data and all fucked upness of Ponzi scheme, fiat money printing, you can see the parabola continues like this. And that means we will be a zuber gadoober dooble dillion dozillion dollars in 10 years. No, it's going to be, here's the truth about it. There's going to be max money printing going on over the next several years. And actually the timeline of a country is money printing. That is the story of any country with money. They money print. That's the whole premise of why Bitcoin's so valuable. But on the flip side of that, we have a lot of different mechanisms that seem inflationary and overwhelmingly deflationary at the same time, with the means and cost of production from AI advancements and infrastructure and how all these things work. And now we're talking about what's going on with the largest oil deposit in the world now coming basically back to scale to really be pumping out a lot of oil, which is going to reduce the costs of goods, reduce the cost of shipping, reduce the cost of production and logistics. So I think we're in a very interesting, not contango, but just a very interesting sort of paradigm right now. You and I were talking about it this morning with TJ. Even when we talk about the dollar, when the dollar falls, Bitcoin usually rises. When the dollar rises, Bitcoin usually falls. But now we're at a stage right now where Venezuela, Bitcoin. Trump just went into the room on the world stage and say, hey, we've got a new order. This is how things are going. And things are going to actually end up becoming less expensive because of that. But it really stamps the brand. Whether you like Trump or not, it stamps the brand of American global order control on what's going on, which is strengthening the dollar. But at the same time, it's giving a huge amount of bolster of support and fuel for the risk narrative. So I think we might see some broken models here in the next 4, 5, 8 years because of this reshuffling, this new Bretton Woods that Scott Bessent's been talking about, that we're starting to see with the reordering of global order and actually final real ordering of global order. So, I mean, I could see the national debt at, $50 trillion in the next 5 to 10 years, potentially even beyond that. The question is going to be, how does price respond to it at the same time when we have all these other technological things that are impacting the economic landscape?
Absolutely, man. And, you just said some pretty important stuff. And we are heading into, obviously, 2026 is shaping up to be insane. And we're looking at old models being broken, right? And if you're asking me, the 4-year cycle was broken in March of 2024 when we hit this new all-time high much faster than we've ever done before in Bitcoin's history within the 4-year cycle. Because mind you, I was a researcher that was very, very focused on studying the 4-year cycle, understanding differences in it as it happened. And when we did hit this all-time high in March of 24, that was way ahead of schedule. We should not have hit it that early. And we also ranged at that previous all-time high longer than we've ever seen before. So we've had a lot of different metrics come in. And the ultimate psyop here, which does look like it's a potential, is that we bounce from this midpoint of volume and we don't get that previous all-time high entry point on Bitcoin. That would be the ultimate sacrifice. Leaving the 4-year cycle maxis, waiting for that entry point, and also making the bulls aggravated that things didn't just go up and to the right, that there is institutional chop along the way. But, seeing the things that JP Morgan is saying, crypto is here to stay, BlackRock talking about the use case and the integration of stable coins on a global scale, backed by US dollars, tells me we're sniffing up the right tree. Now with everything happening in Venezuela, Wall Street firms have begun to travel to Venezuela for investment opportunities as they have recently arisen. Not going to be surprised by this. And also, Polymarket is getting ready to launch plans so that we can do predictions on the real estate market And this would be a lot of fun to do. Betting against or for specific real estate markets here in the US, allowing users to predict their future home prices.
Dude, I gotta say something. You know what I love about this? I just realized this about Polymarket and Kalshi, these prediction markets. Michael Burry made an astronomical amount of money betting on the housing crisis leading into 2008. And one of the reasons why he made that money was, one, he had the data, he understood how to break it down, but two, he had access to banks and the way to put together propositions and basically an entire treatment around what his model was. So banks loaned him the money that basically he took the short on a massive amount, 100 million, leverage. But the interesting thing about what's happening with prediction markets is it's putting, whether it's the housing market, whether it's a sports team, whether it's political words, doesn't matter how big or small, it's in a way democratizing access for people to participate in those types of bets, which is really amazing.
Absolutely. And these are, there's a bunch of different ways to make money. What's being open right now is open source financing, right? And so to see the opportunity to bet and make money off of which way the housing markets are going to go, which way political elections are going to go, it's a way for us to kind of hedge it, because we know mainstream media just lies to us. So we can kind of hedge, understand that they're lying, and vote in the opposite direction. Very, very powerful tools that are being opened to us. Now, in terms of the hyper juice for Ethereum and for altcoins, I want to talk about this because we just saw Grayscale, the Ethereum staking ETF, is now distributing per share. They're distributing about 8 cents per share. This is the first US spot crypto ETP to pass staking rewards to the investors. This is a background conversation I've been having with people who are now inside Grayscale, or people who used to lead the crypto investments of BlackRock, that confirmed my thesis that Ethereum will find a preference in the ETF and Wall Street game once that staking mechanism rolled out, and they can essentially earn a dividend. What they know is Wall Street knows dividends very well.
Oh, I mean, it's a beautiful fundamental, not only shift, the awareness that's going to come around that is going to bring a flood, but beyond just those sorts of fundamentals, there's also this chart I have showing Ethereum, technical fundamentals. The Ethereum network activity just hit a new all-time high. So what I like to do when I'm trying to assess, should I invest in an asset? Should I exit? Should I load more in? I try to look at data beyond just looking at the price and going, okay, guys, everybody, let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum is breaking out. Is it? It's not. I mean, we're getting a pump into a zone, but this doesn't give me data minus just some other indicators that I can cross-reference. But when we're looking at, where's that chart I just had? When we're looking at stuff like this, we're looking at other fundamental data that in this sense, we're seeing a pretty large bullish divergence where the use case of Ethereum has been exploding while it's been overwhelmingly flat. This is exciting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, overwhelmingly flat with the current sentiment in the market of crypto, I think is a very good sign. And I wanted to show you this and see what you think about this, Kelly. The descending channel on Ethereum that's been pretty well defined since Ethereum's been walking downhill from that local $4,500 peak, has been pretty darn consistent. And right now, a lot of pundits, a lot of analysts are highlighting that we're just starting to break out of that descending channel on Ethereum. Downside watching out for the channel top at $3,000 right now. This could act as support, potentially flipping the $3,000 mark on Ethereum into support, which would make our altcoin bags quite aroused. What are you seeing on the trajectory for Ethereum right now? Because it's felt pretty pumpy in comparison to Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, here's Ethereum, US dollar. I mean, look at these bounces. These bounces are magnificent. What are they? Let's zoom out so we know exactly. Okay, this is basically this rising support, resistance, support, a little bit of support. So this gave us a framework. We've been talking about this for, months and months now. But this is looking beautiful. We have almost like giant inverse head and shoulders that's forming here as well. And this is that chart pattern that you're talking about, the descending channel. We have broken out of this, but we haven't broken out of this base pattern that we're in right here, this W pattern. What that would look like is we do have it. This is on the 3-day. Let's go to the daily. We have this basically up to about the 3,300 mark, which is right where this previous range chop is. This is where I'd be looking at really breaking out 3,300. I'd like to break out of this, come up somewhere in this 3,600, 3,700 zone. Watch for a retrace. So everybody thinks Bitcoin or Ethereum crypto is up only. It doesn't. That's not how things operate. What we want to watch for here, if this does break out, we want to watch, get excited, but watch for some sort of retest of this zone right here that we have highlighted, basically $3,300 to $3,400. And then we can really be confident about that next move up. But the key levels we're watching on this entire frame is, this is the first one, which we need to break, the 3,350 zone, 3,800, which is this huge shelf. And then, of course, this top and these bottoms right here, $4,200. And I think if we clear those, I think it's very easily going to continue making its way up here north of $5,000, finally giving us some separation from that, what that previous all-time high was, which we only barely tapped above this cycle.
Can we extrapolate on the inverse head and shoulders target as well here? Because that is
going to be insane. I
want to look at this though.
This is head and shoulders. I'm talking about potentially forming. If that were to be the case, we're going to do it on log and on linear. There's about the neckline right there, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it from where it's at right now, because this is just insane. That shows. Look at that. That goes right to this other trend line that we've had drawn here. But if you were to draw this from this level right here, which is the neckline, it's actually, let's do this like this. The neckline would be right like that. And look at that. That would go right to this other trend line that we've had drawn for quite some time, which is the three previous range tops. So the inverse head and shoulder target out of this would be up here. We've had this drawn for quite some time, basically right about $15,000. That is log. If we're on linear, you see how stupid that looks? This is why you got to do things. You got to chart things a couple different ways. Let me go off of, there we go. This would measure on linear, meaning it's not an exponential basis. This would measure up to, let's see, up to about, $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, so those are the two sort of targets that we're seeing there. I don't know why that.
Well, the reason why I want to get delusionally bullish right now is because we have.
I did not add this line here. I must have mapped this out before, but look, we already had a line sitting right there, 79.
Yeah, we have the ingredients for hyper Ethereum interest. If the staking on these ETPs and ETFs can really roll out the way that some of the BlackRock and Grayscale insiders have told me it will, this is a year and a half ago. I've been waiting for this moment for a very, very long time. And, if we see the equivalent of dividends rolled out to ETF staking holders, like staked Ethereum ETFs getting that staking reward back, that is really the chaotic up only being Max Payne scenario. I want to kind of talk about altcoins now, a couple different ones, but also this is just a side note. Apparently, this is unconfirmed. Apparently, there are 10 people that have been sentenced to 6 to 8 months in prison in France for claiming Macron's wife is a man. So just be careful if you're out there in France. You're talking about the leadership's wife, you might end up in jail. Things are going on. Let's talk about a $7,000 Ethereum, right? Let's say that the chaos realm is real. Risk assets go ballistic. Monetary responsibility goes out the window. And World War III is acknowledged. In this environment and seeing the general chart of Ethereum going to 7K plus, do you guys in the chat and you, Kelly, feel like Cardano is going to go along for the ride? Yes or no? Is Cardano going to new all-time highs in 2026? I want to know.
I think Cardano is still going to make its run. It frustrates people beyond belief, and then it leaves everybody behind. It's done it to two other cycles already leading up to now, where it was a laggard. It was never going to move, blah, blah, and then it just exploded. Then beyond that, you have AI AI out there that's looking at everything that's possible, from technicals to on-chain flow to sentiment, and it's consistently calling Cardano likely being one of the top gainers in the next alt run that we get.
Interesting. Because in this environment, and if that
Cello Pero said ADA, $1 always.
oh god, in the environment of a $7,000 Ethereum, I'm just going to kind of talk through this. So, in the event of a $7,000 Ethereum, you would likely see the barrier to entry to be considered a top 10 crypto somewhere at or near $100 billion in market cap. Cardano is currently number 8. If you disclude stable coins, USDC and Tether, Cardano sits at number 8. It's at a $15 billion market cap right now. This is the concept I want people to understand, is how strong the power is consolidated, power being the amount of money in these projects, to the top 4 to 5 different projects. You have Bitcoin at nearly $2 trillion, Ethereum at nearly $400 billion, Tether doesn't count, XRP $140 billion, BNB $125 billion, and then Solana right behind it at just under $80 billion. But once you start going into number 8, you drop off from 78 billion down to 27 billion,
and then 27 to 15, and then
right,
man,
right.
It's a large cliff.
So if things do go well for alts once again, like they did and don't get me wrong, everyone out there that wants to complain about, nothing's gone right. No, things went great in 2024. Honestly, like things went excellent in 2024 for altcoins. Altcoins that meant nothing, had very low metrics, went absolutely ballistic in 2024. It was people not selling that pump because it was too early, which makes it bad now. A lot of prices have reset, and the power consolidation for altcoins is exponentially high when you start looking at the number 8, the number 9 tokens. These are much, much smaller market caps than these top bigs. So in the event,
one of the things that I've been harping on for a year, super basic signal everybody can pay attention to, especially on the daily chart, is whether you're looking at, I'm going to look at Bitcoin. I'm going to really quick. This is going to be like under a minute. Check this out, everybody. Bitcoin. What did it do that made it break out? It didn't just break through this previous resistance. Look at the RSI. What did it break? What is that area that I would talk about it breaking? Yeah, this was going to break when this could actually go above this 50 line. Where did that happen? Boom, right here. That's where, look, right there. What happened? Okay, what happened on Ethereum? Okay, look at where did it break the 50 line? Right here, which is right here before the run. Cardano, okay, where did it break the 50 line? Right here. Look at this. Boom. BNB. Look at this. Where to break the 50 line. You can see my line up the chart. This is such a simple signal for everybody out there. Look, Ave's already got a bit of a move, and it's just now breaking the 50 line. So it's looking like this may have, that next jolt to the upside. Aerodrome. Holy moly. Look at this. All the way down. Absolutely rocketed through the 50 line. So I would expect some sort of pullback and then a continuation here, because we're seeing strength. Everything is on the side of strength on the daily chart. So when you have strength on the daily, then you get down here on the 1 hour, you go, oh my God, Aerodrome has a bearish divergence. I'm shorting. Well, good, short, but be able to get out very quickly because the strength, the dominant strength on this is in control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the environment, like what I took in over the weekend was that alts were pumping pretty damn hard. Bitcoin pumped decently well in the light of like extreme macroeconomic war / uncertainty. I mean, you had France and the United Kingdom bombing Syria. You had America extracting the president of Venezuela. You have a lot of things going on at the same time, and yet we pumped in altcoins.
Well, you do. Typically when a conflict, quote unquote, starts, especially if the U.S. is involved, the markets tend to have a retraction. They tend to pull back a bit. But Drew, would you say that part of this pump that we're seeing in the face of the start of a conflict is the fact that, one, the conflict was over by the time the U.S. populace was even aware that we had the conflict to start?
Probably.
And the oil thing.
Probably. And it drives longer term interest into the U.S. Treasuries. It re-solidifies America as the main point of monetary power, and this idea that BRICS is going to usurp the United States. Now it's up to China. China has to stop using their attack dogs and actually do it themselves, which is pretty unlikely, honestly. I know a lot of people say America's time is cooked and everything. It's just, yes, I complain about the near $40 trillion of debt that we have, but a lot of that was military and Black Ops spending. So there's a lot of military equipment that we've gathered from our fiat dust over the past few centuries.
Let me see. Oh my God, this is. We talk about all the overspending, but then we've also got, and this blows my mind. Go ahead and pull this up. They're auditing, everybody. They are auditing. They're doing what they need to. This is the real spot that they were claiming. Oh, but the fraud. No. Why was there fraud? They had audits. This was the frickin' center that was auditing, giving the stamp of approval. No, the daycares are doing good. So, I'm going to use some choice words here, and I'm not going to. I'm trying to be better, but the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in a decade plus. The U.S., I don't think, has ever actually audited themselves because we would fail so magnanimously. But there's a lot of spending, and it feels like on the one hand that they're trying to get it under control. On the other hand, it feels like they're also getting it under control so they can spend some more over here. So who knows?
So this Juba Value Center was the official stamper of approval for all of this massive fraud.
Let's fact check it. Here, let's ask Grok. Yeah, this is an accounting firm, a small run auditing firm, sanctioned by Ohio in 2025, operating without certification as the shared auditor for NGOs in Ohio and Minnesota accused of defrauding USDA daycare funds. So,
holy God.
I don't even know what to say anymore, guys.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's whole situation is far from over with. The American people are pretty pissed about this situation. I got to say, like, a little bit of repatriate feelings came from seeing Maduro finally taken out, because Maduro's an asshole. He's been an asshole for a long time. We've known it. The American people have known it. The world's known it. The 9 audits that the Pentagon has failed in a row. Nice stuff. Good stuff. Kelly, let's look at Bitcoin dominance, because honestly, man, like, if the psyop on Bitcoin's price pullback is real and this is a takeoff moment that no one sees coming other than us delusional bulls that are holding spot long into 2026 while everyone tells us to run away for the hills, what if this Bitcoin dominance chart breaks down? What is your take on this right now? Because it's looking a little sketchy.
Way back over yonder, way back here, when price was still moving Bitcoin dominance was still moving to the upside. I highlighted, if this was broken, and not just broken, we formed a new low followed by a new lower high, which is exactly what happened here. This was going to break down further, and it did, broke down further. Now we've got the whale games here. This is October 10th, the complete washout where Bitcoin dominance, absolute candle to the upside, back down. But we have broken down and held below this, and this looks like it's trying to make a move to the upside. But what do you see here on the RSI? Same thing happens with dominance like it does with price on assets. RSI is broken clearly. Look at this. It was on the shelf of strength, trying to stay in control for dominance, aka Bitcoin staying in the lead here. And this has broken down. It's coming back up. If I had to guess, this is going to find a rejection, maybe a little higher here, about 59.45, and then continue to the downside.
Oh my God. Well, that is, what I'm looking at on my side is like the potential. I've left these, toddler drawn head and shoulder marks here for quite some time. And we are still following the head and shoulders playing out on Bitcoin dominance now falling. So I need to see further confirmation and breach below 57 to really feel like this is the head and shoulders we've all been looking for. This head and shoulders, if it plays out, brings us to a 50% Bitcoin dominance. Now, it might not sound like much, but back to my previous point about the consolidation of market cap power in these top projects. If we see Bitcoin fall to half of the total market cap, the ripple effects that happen to these altcoins is exponentially stronger.
Wait, what percentage did you say?
50%.
I didn't change a single thing. I just want to show my chart. Look at the boxes I have as a target. Basically, from
Okay, so we're
50 to
looking at the same thing.
51%.
Okay. And where'd you, because I derived my number from the old main volume points of Bitcoin dominance. How did you come up with the same
Well,
analysis
if you
here?
kind of look at the trajectory here with this rejection, and then this kind of semi-rejection before launch, and then retest right on this line. I looked at this descending trend line in coupling it with this previous range top and this range low right here, boom, boom, boom. And this kind of gives an intersection that just makes me feel like it's a very likely area to go. But I mean, I've had this drawn as well, the green box. This is where I think it's most likely to go, somewhere in like the 47 to 49% range down in here.
See, this is the fun conversation we can think about, because if that does play out, these small, like Chainlink is a $9 billion market cap, right? Hyperliquid is at $9 billion. Like Cardano at 14 billion. I could see if Ethereum does pull off that 7K move, Bitcoin starts chugging past its previous all-time high. These lower projects can absolutely 5x, some of them even 10x from where they're at right now, even literal vaporware. So
I wanted to highlight, though, because I know we're going to be wrapping here in just a little bit, some of those smaller coins. I have to show this, guys. I'm trying to get back into more authentic living like my ancestors. So we just take on a couple attributes of our ancestors and go and bow hunting for your food in the grocery store. I don't know why that's even on there. But no, this right here. We do have some cliff unlocks happening on Hype, on Athena, Aptos, and Linnea in the next 7 days. So I'm not saying it's going to make something pump or make something dump, but because of this, I would expect for these 4 coins some interesting price action to happen that might be a little bit different from the pack in the next few days.
Yeah, good looking out on that. And then, like, the main thing I need to think about right now is the altcoin that's in question for whatever project you're looking at likely to extend its life cycle a year or two from now, right? Because there's no surety that we're in the pump zone, but what I am is holding way too many alts. I'm holding Bitcoin no matter what, up or down. I'm holding a lot of alts, and I'm actively trading this market. The trading quant in our Discord gave us more winners right out of the gates this morning. A huge shout out to the trading quant for printing new tether for the community. If you want to get in on it, get the link in the description for Discord. You can trade with us on 2bit or Blowfin. Get in for free and get those trading calls, because in this general moment, there's a lot of money to be made with uncertainty. You just have to have the balls to get in there and do your risk management accordingly so that you don't blow out your entire back trying to make that big move. But I'm feeling pretty good about these charts, man. What is this chart you got in the background here before I go back to this?
This
What
is
this
Others chart. Others chart
Okay.
got a nice breakout. But what I love about this breakout is this breakout happened. This is on the 3-day chart with the RSI still under 50. If we go to the daily, this is broken. Look, above 50, came down, found support, and launched. So, and the money flows on the daily just popped back positive. So we may have a little bit of a softening here where we get a small retrace that shakes some people out, but this is looking like it's trying to set up to kind of have its next move up to this target up here. It's 224 billion now. The next target up would be up here about just under 250 billion. And then hopefully continuing up for there, giving some people some hope.
Yep, absolutely. And this is a time where I don't discount anyone that is scared of the uncertainty, but I will say that the same feeling of uncertainty and macroeconomic shakeup that's happening right now is what was going on in an equivocal manner in 2020, of March of 2020, where many people thought I was a retard for throwing my life savings into crypto and Bitcoin. It was at historic lows, and they're not laughing anymore. They are still crypto curious, but they're not laughing at me anymore. And this time frame, I think it's just a good lesson about maybe don't bet the farm on expectations of what has happened, because we are going into the great unknown. Stagflation, World War III, things that are uncomfortable for people to acknowledge are happening right now in front of our eyes. It's just about taking a deep breath, grabbing our balls, and making our bet, right? No one's going to remember you if you don't have a bet in life. It's just the very simple matter of the fact.
Yeah, and
Um,
Celopero actually said something great here. Privacy will be a big industry in 2026. The video I put out Saturday morning. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's got the thumbnail with Vitalik Buterin, and it says we need to fix this. Vitalik had some statements at the end of last week talking about some, I don't want to say missteps, but some recalculations about the roadmap for Ethereum pressing forward. Not only are they going to have staking, obviously, within ETFs, which is great for Ethereum, and that's not on them. That's, obviously the ETFs themselves, but Ethereum themselves have realized a major point that they need to overwhelmingly focus on going into 2026 and beyond is the privacy concerns, understanding that institutions, corporations, high net worth individuals are going to become increasingly aware of holding crypto assets. If they are using it and transacting in any way, then every bit of their transaction history is immediately available to anybody that just knows their address. So while that is great in terms of transparency, for preventing all the scams and fraud and all the stuff that mainstream media, news media thinks that crypto is all about, which it's not, because everything's so transparent. On the same time, we do need to take efforts and steps forward within top L1s, not just Zcash, not just Monero, but actual larger ecosystems that have programmed in, baked in different dApps and different accessibility limitations and filters for compliance, that you need to have some things transparent to some government bodies, but also the other aspect that it's not just anybody that wants to look at everything that you've ever done can do that.
Absolutely. Very wise words. Well, I just think it's a time where, I understand that people run away, but this is where I make money, is off of heavy fear, people running away for the hills. And, I'm not out here with money that I need tomorrow or this month. So that is how you make decisions that are poor, is by making those decisions based on fear, right? So I'm going into this understanding, yes, the market is locking up. Yes, they have to lower interest rates. Is it responsible to? No, probably, but this isn't the reality that we live in right now. And a big print feels like it's right around the corner, Kelly. It really, really does. The amount of debt.
Can I tell you a funny story?
What's that?
This is real. This is not a joke. I bought my mom for Christmas the book by Lawrence Leopard, however you say his name. It's called The Big Print. I bought the book, The Big Print, for my mom. Well, she calls me New Year's Eve. She goes, Kelly, I got your gift. And she's had a weird voice about it. I'm like, yeah, what, you don't like the book? She goes, book? I didn't get a book. I was like, well, what'd they send? They sent some sort of like carbonated erotic soda water or something. So my mom's like, why did my son send me this erotic? I don't even know. I was like, you got to send me a photo of this. I was like, what? So Amazon's handling it all, but there's a note in there from, I don't know if somebody at the Amazon facility saw this is for mom, so let's send this other sex thing. And I was just like, oh no, mom. And I showed her the receipt. It's like, this is what I sent you, this book.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That is wild. That is wild. Hopefully she gets, I'm sure she gets it.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made in a wallet we control. All right.
She said that product was very effective.
Oh my God. No, stop. All right. So right now, we're still holding above 94. Honestly, dude, this world is psyops, and the ultimate psyop is to not give people the entry point that they want. The 65 to 70, the psyop is there. I'm thinking in terms of what's a malicious market maker going to do. They're not going to give 4-year cycle maxis what they want. They're also not going to give bulls what they want. What you got, Kelly?
This we put out earlier on the Discover Crypto page. I saw this earlier and we had to share it. This is, every one of these peaks is the accumulation score, the average over the last 30 days, the rank. Every time this blue line, which is the 30-day, has peaked over the 75% marker, we marked up here on the chart. Notice on every one of these, even this yellow one, which is right here, somebody was going to say, but this was in a bear market. Great. Even in the bear market, This time period right here where this bounced, this was 100% move. So 100% of these dots, when the accumulation score or rank has been over 50, peaked over 50, has marked not only a massive run up or continuation in the bull trend, but also 100% pump in a bear market. So this just shows you people are still worried where we're at right now on the sentiment basis, but the data basis says, guys, higher, faster, stronger, longer. And the last thing I wanted to show, which I don't know how I did not notice this, this was early. This is right after the FTX collapse. Look at this shape. This is the exact same shape, just repeated on extension up here. Woo! It's the same damn thing.
Wow.
So regardless of what happens here, if we do get back to 77, 74, I would be overwhelmingly buying with confidence at that level, but I'm getting less and less of a feeling like that's going to happen. It's feeling like this mark right here. This is the how much supply was transacted and bought in the $80,000 to $90,000 range. I'm not sure if we're going to get below 80 again. I think we may have bottomed.
Jesus. Well, this is where the brave may be paid off. You know, believing in something, you gotta risk it for the biscuit, and that's where we are. I'm looking at 2026 as being an exciting, very eventful year. Right, we're well positioned, and obviously, if I do get lucky enough to get that washout on Bitcoin, I got Tether ready. But it's gonna be an exciting year. Huge shout out to everyone in the chat. I see everyone's got their products they're bullish on. Cardano, no DeFi, crypto and airdrop. We've been at Levin Canton Network. We're going to be interviewing the founder of Canton Network very shortly on the 20th. Looking forward to that. But if you are in the chat and you're holding a project, you're not sure if it's going to exist next year, drop that ticker into the comments in this video, and I'll take a look at every single one of those projects. Kelly, it's an absolute pleasure having you on here. There's a lot of bullish information floating around.
It's January 5th.
Yes.
I want everybody right now. We're up here every day talking about these things with our face. You all are watching. You're in the live chat. You're watching later. Comment down below or comment live right now, regardless of how you're watching this, whether it's live or later. But comment January 5th. What price point do you think Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be at the end of January? Let's see who is anywhere near right. You got to put your voice out there. Maybe if many of you are bullish, maybe that lifts the market. If everybody's bearish, I hope you get wrecked. No, I don't. I want everybody to make money, but everybody throw your thoughts in there. Throw in the live chat right now. We got about 30 seconds before we wrap out. I want to see all the numbers flying. What price points you think Bitcoin and ETH are going to be at the end of January?
Absolutely. And I will say, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not subscribed, you disgust me. Subscribe to the channel. My God, we're working hard for you in the background here. We got 103 potatoes bullish, 148K, XRP 387, 110, 60K Bitcoin. A lot of numbers. The crowd is very, very split. Well, we know where we're going. We're going into the great unknown. Kelly, it was a pleasure. I'm going to get back to it and dive into the charts. Going to be trading the Chinese hours. Bitcoin to 200K. Stay based, everyone. We'll see you very.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.